What is the second best T20 tournament in the world?
If you'd asked me a while back, I think I would have had a long, for ages, I think there was a few different leagues who had a chance, but I don't think it's close anymore. I've been watching the SA20, it just looks better than the vast majority of the T20 I watch. It's a tough one because at the moment you've got the Big Bash being played, and you've got the Bangladesh Premier League. So Bangladesh, not particularly the highest level of cricket being played. Big Bash, sometimes I look at some of the third and fourth bowlers and some of the batters, and I'm like, if you're batting at number 5, I reckon SA20 looks pretty strong to me at the moment. PSL I would have up there as well. PSL's about to get weaker though because all the players are going to go off, all the best players are going to play in the IPL from now on because it clashes. But I probably would have had PSL as my second, and SA20 might be rising with a bullet.
He didn't even mention the blast.
No,
and the 100's involved in this as well.
It's like a horse race, and I think T20 has come up on the rails and flown through.
Yeah,
absolutely. But the blast, I am absolutely sold on the blast. I've been since 2003. Why am I sold on it? Finals day. Finals day is absolutely magnificent. And it's a bit like the FA Cup, which is much derided but absolutely brilliant. And of course it gets serious at quarterfinals, semi-finals, because there's a big carrot at the end to play at Wembley. And so T20 Blast I've got a real affection for. But SA T20, yeah, great.
I love the Blast. But you did say T20, didn't you? The 100's not T20.
I know, but
it will be.
It will be.
It will be.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think the 100 is on that level, though, at the moment. I think the 100's a good competition, but I'm not sure I quite have it on PSL.
Do you not think that the 100's C-list? It's like celebrity coaches, C-list players.
Most of them are C-list.
Yeah,
is the Big Bash is an A-list?
I think
CPL's no longer A-list.
I think Big Bash has got, well, it's got the climate, it's got the razzmatazz, it's got the interest, and, let's go. But the 100, you look at it and, and the coaches and the chairmans of the 100s, and who are you? Where have you come from? What is your interest?
Yeah. I mean, I was more looking at it from a
let's break
quality.
It down. So I would say there's different things we need to factor in. There is the quality of the cricket.
Yeah.
So the standard of those playing it. There is supporters. I mean, you didn't even mention there is another T20 tournament taking place at the moment.
The IL.
Exactly.
But we can't watch that in the UK. Or maybe it's on one of those CTV.
But you worked on that first series, I think. First year of the IL T20. Didn't you go out to Dubai?
Yeah, absolutely.
You said that for a minute and he was like, I've been to a lot of competitions.
No. I was really
cricket, right?
I went out, so it all finished and it was DP World who had bankrolled it.
Yeah.
And it had all finished and
hopefully.
Mr. Z, he was on ZTV in India. And we'd all finished and we're having an after party and Dooley had organised it all, of course. And Mr. ZTV and Mr. DP World pulled me on one day, like, it's been fantastic, thanks for coming, it's been absolutely magnificent. And we look forward to seeing you again next year. Then I got binned. I got biffed.
Spanish Archer.
I said, so, I've not heard much, what's going on? We're going for younger voices. Oh, I can do younger voices. I can do as younger voices you like.
You've got lots of voices.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I got elbowed. We're going for younger voices.
Yeah.
I thought we were all inclusive. Where's all that gone?
I don't. That league to me, just like of all the leagues, it's a league too far. And I just find it.
Graham Smith just said that.
Yeah. I just if it was on at a different time of the year, I'd probably watch it. But I'm like, in the morning, I've got. If I want to watch a game, I've got the Big Bash on. In the afternoon, I've got the Bangladesh Premier League and the IL20. And then the SA comes on. And the SA1, I just think is a better package at the moment. And as I said, I think the quality is higher. So why would I watch one of the lesser leagues?
Yeah.
So for me, there's just too many leagues going on. We haven't even talked about the Georgie Pie Super Smash, which is no longer the Georgie Pie Super Smash.
It's a shame, isn't it? Did you see their retro kits, by the way, for this year?
They have some great kits in New Zealand.
Yeah.
New Zealand kits, them and the Sri Lankans might have the best domestic kits. Yeah, have you got?
That's one for Sam Ellard.
But yeah, when it comes down to it, I think it's that SA20 just seems to work. And also the crowds are there, right? Like you're watching it.
The weather's fabulous.
So you got.
Too hot and palm.
Great weather. I think the South African cricket. I've said this before. I think when the camera pans to the banks,
Brilliant.
I think the South African cricket crowd is the best cricket crowd.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've got that, but in terms of quality of player,
Well, I think
is it SA20?
Have you seen the Mumbai Indians Cape Town, which is not a good name, is it? No. The MI Cape Town bowling attack. Rabada Bolt Rashid Khan.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
There's more bowlers too. I can't even remember. They've got so many bowlers in that. Like they could win Test matches with their bowling attack.
When we talk, there's so many springing up. Leagues, all sorts of franchise leagues. Are they all affiliated to the ICC? Are they all under the auspices of the ICC?
It gets very confusing when you
It
ask
does.
that question, because
that's dangerous.
If you're a Test nation, you don't need the ICC's permission to run a league. If you're an associate nation, I believe you have to request to be able to run a league, which is what some of the issue I think is with some of the tournaments we see in America. Not the major one, not major league, but some of the others. And so it can get a bit whiffy in that sort of way. But you also don't have to get the ICC to be the anti-corruption unit. So you can run a league, get permission to run that league, and then run your own anti-corruption, which of course is going to be of a lower quality than what the ICC is, and they've got all these information that they could share amongst themselves and everything else. So you can run your own league. The other issue is, and this is the big one, and this came out again recently, players don't get paid from these small leagues all the time, and they quite often get paid late. And again, if that was being run by the ICC, we should be able to get through. We should be able to get around all that. So, the ICC, the reason that they don't take over Bumble, you're not going to be shocked to know, is because if you allowed the ICC to take over these, then the major countries would be like the 100 might have been harder to get up, right? They might have had to go through more red tape. You might not have been able to. The ICC might have said, "Well, you've already got one tournament. Why do you need another?" England don't want to be told what to do. Australia don't want to be told what to do. Sri Lanka want to have a T20 tournament. West Indies want T10 tournament. West Indies want to have T10 tournaments. They don't want to be guided by the ICC, which makes it a little bit weirder. And that's, again, why the ICC is not really in charge of cricket.
If the players are not getting paid, that's their problem. And it brings me back to music and Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry was an absolute legend. No pay, no play.
Yeah.
Well, that's
just saw that in the Bangladesh Premier
happened
League.
yesterday. In Bangladesh, the players were not playing.
Yeah,
we
had it in Canada as well.
Yeah, I was out in Dubai in 2016 with Goffey, the short-lived Masters Cricket League (MCL), and yeah, one team was getting paid, the rest of them weren't, so they just stopped. Yeah. And then suddenly the money appeared, or half of it, and then the league
Installments.
continued. Here's another question for you then, because I'm a big fan of the Blast. That's where my team plays. That's the tournament that I care about. Length of tournament, duration. I mean, does the fact that the Blast, and there are structural problems with that competition. Surrey played York. I think Surrey played Durham. They did, yeah. Surrey played Durham in the knockout stage before finals day, and I think it was the first time Surrey had ever played Durham in a T20, which is a bit of a drawback. They played Yorkshire, same. It's a bit of a weird thing. It also starts in June and finishes in September.
It used to be great. It used to be bang, short and sweet, get it done. Not now.
The Big Bash had the same thing. It went way overblown, and then they pulled it back in. I like the Big Bash. I was in New Zealand for the Big Bash, and it comes at the 100 have tried to mimic it. Everyone's on holiday, right? So you watch your cricket. The cricket's on during the day, the international stuff, and you might be out, on the beach, and then it's 100 Big Bash in the evening, and it works. It's got good razzmatazz.
You just said on the beach. The weather is so important.
Yeah,
it's so important.
Yeah, yeah. Look, Big Bash. They don't really know what they're doing with the Big Bash. I think would be fair. I haven't spoken to anyone in a while, but when I last was talking to them was probably around 2017, 2018, and they didn't know whether to make. At that stage, I think that's when they made it longer.
Yeah.
And it crashed not long after that. Then they've made it shorter. Then they had the draft because they wanted it to look more like American and other Australian sports. But of course, the draft in the Big Bash is like, do you want Colin Munro or do you want Sam
It's like
Billings?
when they announce the next, celebrity Big Brother, and you're like, who are these people?
Exactly. So I think they've had some issues there. When I talked to them, they were looking at the Big Bash and from a really different perspective to most other leagues. I think CPL is the only other one I've seen try this, which is they were like, let's have a week of cricket in Brisbane. Let's have a week of cricket in Adelaide.
Festival.
And make it into a festival.
Yeah.
And they were talking about it like rock concerts. right? Let's have 1 week in Adelaide here, and then let's have 1 week in Adelaide here. It means everyone's going to buy probably a ticket to that week and a ticket to that week. And it allows us, we don't have to, bring the TV crews in and the trucks, which is a bigger problem in Australia than it is in the UK.
Big problem.
All that sort of stuff. And I was like, do you know what? That makes sense to me, because for a week you can just pump the PR in that city.
Yeah.
Looking at it now, and I'm from a distance now because I haven't covered a Big Bash in quite a while now, and I haven't worked in the Big Bash for quite a while. It feels like they've gone back to a sort of more of that blast sort of thing of you've got a game here and then you've got a game here and everything else. It doesn't work. And the other problem is in somewhere like Australia, the media is all segmented. Like I know you have the Australian newspaper, but it's not the biggest newspaper in Australia, right? In Adelaide, you read the Adelaide newspaper. And so you do need that kind of,
with that concept, you could put music and cricket together. You know, a music festival cricket going alongside for a week in a city.
And that's kind of what I thought they were going towards. And then having stuff for that week, you then have maybe some of the players out doing coaching clinics, right? You have, how fast can you bowl outside, in the city? Oh, you can do that whole thing. And that's what they told me they were going towards. But they've had 2 or 3 management changes since then. And, look, let's be honest. The IPL is the league that should be 3 or 4 months already. Right? It's the one that's been slow to grow. These other ones should be looking at it more as a pop-up event, right? And if you can do that and then maintain some sort of interest in the next 11 months, so when a player is traded or when you bring in a big name, you still get media. That should be how they look at it. But I think everyone's like, well, eventually we'll be like Premier League football or we'll be like a baseball season. And it's like, I don't think this, the Super Smash is ever going to be more than Super Smash.
Do you think we're going to get to a situation where the champions of the IPL play the champions of the CPL, play the champions of the Blast? Well, how good would that be?
Well, we did it, didn't we?
We did it,
but
it didn't work.
No, let's try it again. It might have been too early.
There was a massive problem with it, Bumble, because essentially some of the players that won the IPL also won the CPL. And then the IPL teams would be like, well, we pay you.
Right, we go to state of origin then. You can come past this. You can put a state of origin or your original team. You can get past that.
I think you do have to think about it. But I think Karen Pollard and Cameron White both qualify for 3 or 4 teams each.
Yes, right? You can sort that.
So Victoria were probably the best T20 side in the world. And when they got to the Champions League.
It's called the Champions League. Yeah.
When they got to the Champions League, Dirk Nunnes, Brad Hodge and Cameron White weren't playing for them. So
but it is a good idea. It's one that should be revisited. Maybe when the Saudis come in, it will.
The problem with it is when you say your team of origin.
That sort of thing.
Do you think IPL owners aren't going to sign up for that, though, are they?
No.
They're going to say, we want the best player. Not only that, do you know there was a Champions League game where Mumbai went in with an extra overseas player at one stage?
Yeah.
Because they said one of their local players was injured, but he's playing a club game at the same time. So it's got problems. Here's the issue at the moment. Sorry, here was the issue when it started, was that Otago made it, right?
Yeah.
And Auckland.
Yeah, and no one was going to watch those games. The Cape Cobras. That's a little bit different now, right? If you've got the MI Cape Town playing and you've got, the Texas Little Chickens. I forgot all the name of the major league teams at once. The Seattle Orcas, is that what they're called?
No, one's the Unicorns. San Francisco
Unicorns. I think that's a little bit different because there are little fan bases jumping up around those things. But you might have an ownership group. It'd be interesting to see what the IPL owners make. Because if you own 100 team, and you own a major league team, and you own a CPL team and a South African team, it's suddenly a lot of money if all of your teams qualify.
So if a player, you play for the team that you've played most for.
No, I get that, but if you're an owner, do you want to spend, send 5, but they're the ones who make the decisions.
Yes, they are. And they will be doing in the 100, which we've discussed.
But I do know, the Saudi Arabia thing was potentially having a second IPL or bringing back the Champions League.
Or a T10.
Or a T10 was the other one. So it has been talked about, Bumble, in that sort of other window, which is it end of September?
September.
Yeah, which is the last window left in cricket.
The CPL seemed to be up here, and is it just me, or has it lost its way?
Yeah, it struggled a little bit. The 100 and then Major League Cricket have probably impacted it a little bit, right? Because the CPL had a nice little window on its own. It was only going up against the Blast for a while. And it's just dropped down a little bit. I don't think it's terrible. The other thing is that West Indies haven't produced as many stars of recent times, right? Like Nicholas Puran and Hetmeyer are really, really good players, and they've got a fan base, but they're not Chris Gale. They're not Dwayne Bravo, right? Like they are a step below. So I think that there's been a couple of things there. It was arguably the second best league in the world for a while.
There is another aspect to this. It's the broadcasters. So you were fantastic when you used to do the Blast. That was very much part of the appeal of watching the Blast. Was you and Freddie doing your thing, at the ground, and we were there on numerous occasions covering it on radio. Those days are gone, sadly. But in terms of broadcast teams, and we love NASA, we love Athers, but SA20 again has got some pretty good names, isn't it? When you're turning it on, and you've got A.B. de Villiers and Mark Butcher and a cast list that is eye-watering.
It's fine Stuart if they're any good. Are they any good?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
good.
Butch
is, isn't he?
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So Butch is doing the SA20.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he would be doing some Blast, but
I don't think you could say he's a brilliant player, the greatest has ever been. Here's a microphone.
Yeah.
No,
that don't work.
No. Look, I think also, and you guys probably at Sky were ahead of the curve here, and not everyone else has caught up, it's a different kind of commentary. You know this, you run your own commentary team.
Yeah.
Andrew McKenna is so suited to T20 cricket, right? Like, it's just, sometimes I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna have to match his energy today, right? And that is what he is set up for. And as production groups, you don't always get that. And then you get the other side, which is the whole, Danny Morrison becomes a character, so then we have Swanee becomes a character, and then Michael Slater becomes a character. It's not just becoming a character, is it?
No. You've got to know the game, know the business. You've got to see the moment.
Yeah.
You've got to be in the moment every time at T20. I've never done a T10. That's like on steroids, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cricket on steroids.
There's not a lot of chatting in that one.
Right.
So, I asked a question at the start. I'll finish by asking the same question. The second best T20. Well, do you think the Blast is better than the IPL? Maybe you think it's the best?
No, I think status IPL is the best, and for the interest and the spectators and the quality of play.
Yeah.
But I've got great affection for the Blast.
And the SA20 for you?
Yeah, I like watching the Blast. I probably watch more Blast than I do 100, if we're being honest.
What about if I'd asked you 3 years ago?
Probably would have had the PSL 3 years ago, but it has dropped off a little bit, and it's going to drop off more this year, right? Like, if the best players in the world aren't coming to your competition, shrug emoji.